All right, so today I'm going to show you how to download and install brushes into Photopea. So I went to Brush Easy. This is a great website to find Photoshop brushes. And once I get here, I just did a search for texture brush, and this is the one that I came up with that I'm going to use. I'm going to download. So I'm just going to click on free download, and it'll download to my downloads folder. And once it's done, let me hide this thing. Okay, so I've done this a couple times already. So, all right, so what I have here is one folder. This is the brush folder that I just downloaded. So I need to extract this because when they put them on these websites, they put them in a compressed folder so the files are smaller. So we need to open that up. So I'm going to just right click and hit extract all. And I don't need to show my extracted files. So I'm going to uncheck that box, and then I'm going to tell it it's just going to go straight to the download folder where the original downloaded to. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that first file that has a little zipper. And so all I have is this second folder that's open. Okay. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to navigate to Photopea. And I already have an image open just so it can show you for demonstration. So I'm going to navigate to my brush tool, and then I'm going to go up to the options bar. Okay, so I'm going to go to the options bar, and I'm going to click on my option panel or my option button for my brushes, right? And I'm going to click right here on this little download arrow, or I'm sorry, this little arrow. Then I'm going to click load.abr, and I'm going to navigate to my downloads folder. This is my new brush folder that I just extracted. I'm going to double click and open it up, and I'm going to click on this free powder Photoshop brushes. And I'm going to hit open, and it's going to load, and my brushes have been added. Now, sometimes Photopea will give you a pop-up message that asks if you want to load it next time you open up Photopea. You can either hit yes or no. If you hit no, it will not load these new brushes next time you open Photopea. So they will not be here. So if you want to use them again, I suggest hitting yes. All right, so I'm going to choose a brush, and I'm looking right now. The first thing I want to take note of is the size. So this brush is huge. So I need to make it smaller because I know that it's going to slow down my computer, which I think it already has because I already clicked on it. And yeah, so okay, so once I go ahead and lower the size, right here. So this isn't something you would normally have to do if you were working in Photoshop, but Photopea tends to make your computers run a little bit slower. So I'm going to click on that brush. Oh, man. And just change the size. And again, it's running a little slow already. So I'm just going to go back to my brush to get rid of that pop-up. Okay, so now when I move my mouse around, you can see I have this little brush that I'm going to use to paint on my image. Okay, so I don't want to edit directly on my background image or whatever. You want your texture to be on a separate layer. So I'm going to click on New Layer, and I'm going to name it Texture. So it's important to always name your layers. I'm not going to lie, it's something I kind of forget to do sometimes, but because I'm demonstrating, I remembered. Okay, so I can make my brush larger and smaller. Without opening back up the options bar. I can use the bracket keys on the keyboard. The left bracket will make it larger. I'm sorry, the left bracket will make it smaller, and the right bracket will make it larger. So I'll just do that twice to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and so I'm just going to click around my image to give some texture. So I'm just going to do this a couple times to show you what happens when I do that. You're going to get these spots that appear. So it's black. My brush is black. You can change your brush color right here in the color picker box if you want to, but I'm going to keep mine black because I'm going to lower the opacity, so it's really not going to matter too much. Okay, and you can always change your brush too as you're adding texture. So you don't want the texture to always be the same. So I had some other brushes in here that I can use as well. So let's try this one. That one's really small, so I need to make it larger. Okay, so I'm just going to start clicking around. You just want a subtle effect. So right now it doesn't really look subtle because it's so dark, but we're going to fix that right now. Okay. All right. So this is why we put it on a separate layer. So we can change how this layer affects this layer. So what we're going to do is one thing you can do is change the blend mode. So you can go through all of these different options, okay, and see how they affect the layer. See what it looks like. And again, it's all about experimenting, right? With Photopea and Photoshop. You always want to experiment with these tools and see what happens when you do something different. And every picture is going to give you a different effect. Okay, so normally my go-to choices are lighten, screen, and overlay, but I'm not really digging those too much right now. So something I might do is, let's see, I'm just going to leave it on normal because I'm not really liking how this is affecting anything. And I'm just going to lower the opacity down, okay? And it can be very subtle. And it just depends on your image or your design. If you're making a poster, it just depends on that effect that you want to get. Okay, so if you're doing like something from the Victorian era, you want to probably choose a brown color, like a muted brown. So click on the orangish, and then click on something like this, and this will give you like that sepia tone. And you can always add additional layers. You don't have to keep it at one. So now I have 2 texture layers, and then you can experiment to see which color you like better. And hide this first layer and then lower the opacity on this one and see. And also color, the color may have a play on how the blend mode looks. So this is more noticeable than the other one. Obviously I don't like this color, but I just wanted to show you what the effect would look like. Okay, so I'm going to hide that. So it's all a matter of messing around with the settings and the blend modes and the opacity and seeing which works best for your design. So if I hit it, that's before, and then that's after. It gives a little bit of texture to my image, and it kind of darkened it up a little bit. So I wouldn't obviously use this, but this is just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so that's it with installing brushes and using them for texture.